Chapter 1007. The expression on Xia Ningxi's face suddenly froze, and it took a while for her to find her voice. So, he already knew that you were the host? Probably. Even if he didn't notice it before, after the barbecue last time, he took the initiative to ask her for food. No matter how slow he was, he should have noticed it. Su Yiyan did not dwell on this topic. He looked up and asked Xia Ningxi, "Didn't he tell you?" Tell her what? Tell her that he knew that her boss was the host, and that she had always admired the host and wanted to meet her. But for so long, he had never thought of telling her the identity of the host? Or tell her that this bastard used her name to swindle and deceive her. After he was done, he even lied to her that he had spent a lot of effort to buy those things from the host's store to share with her, and that she was so touched that she didn't want it anymore. When she thought of someone who knew the truth but chose not to say it, deliberately watching her make a fool of herself, Xia Ningxi was so angry that she wanted to grind her teeth on the spot. Su Yiyan saw that she didn't say anything. He frowned slightly and said, "Oh, I forgot. You knew it from Missen. So, he didn't tell you." Maybe, he forgot. How could he forget such an important thing? Xia Ningxi only felt that her little heart had been stabbed with a knife. Su Yiyan seemed to be unaware and continued, "Speaking of this, Chirue is now the backbone of our company. You are his girlfriend. Strictly speaking, you are also an employee's family member, so you can enjoy employee benefits. If you just want to jump the queue and get a number, you don't have to enter the company." If Xia Ningxi had heard Su Yiyan's words half an hour ago, she would have been so happy that she would have jumped on the spot. In Xia Ningxi's ears, these words were tantamount to adding fuel to the fire, and the fire in Xia Ningxi's heart was ignited. "This big liar full of lies, you are dead." Achoo! The evening wind in the mountains was always cool, but it also brought with it a creepy whimper. Ning Chirue hugged his chest with his hands and couldn't help but shiver. It's over. This gully is so cold when it gets dark. If I stay here all night, I'm afraid I will catch a cold tomorrow. At the thought of this, Ning Chirue's face fell. So, why was he so stubborn? Why did he give up his comfortable life and come to this remote place to suffer? Not to mention that Ning Chirue, who was experiencing a tragedy, did not know that there was an even more terrible tragedy waiting for him 2 days later. Su Yiyan was in a good mood after successfully swindling the guy who spoke ill of her behind her back. She hugged her soft little son and kissed him a few times, making the little guy giggle. When Hu Chenhuan returned home and saw this scene, her originally flat lips couldn't help but curl up a little. She slowly walked behind the two of them and hugged them. Su Yiyan was startled. He turned to look at him and said with a faint smile, "You're back." Hu Chenhuan responded in a low voice and leaned over to kiss Su Yiyan's forehead naturally. The baby in Su Yiyan's arms looked at this scene with his big eyes. Suddenly, he raised his hand and cried out, trying to attract the attention of his parents. Sure enough, as soon as Su Yiyan heard his cry, she immediately looked down and chuckled. "Baby, are you jealous because you saw Daddy kissing Mommy?" "Ah, woo woo woo." The little guy's little chubby hand clenched into a fist, shaking and waving, as if agreeing with his mother's words. Chapter 1008. A smile flashed across Su Yiyan's eyes. Then, he handed the chubby baby in his hand to Hu Chenhuan, indicating that he should quickly kiss the child and let him feel a certain someone's strong fatherly love. Hu Chenhuan saw through Su Yiyan's little thoughts at a glance. Although he looked helpless, he still followed Su Yiyan's instructions and lowered his head to kiss the little guy. The little guy was stunned for a moment after being kissed. He raised his hand and slapped Hu Chenhuan's face. Although it was called a slap, the child's strength was only that much. When the slap landed on Hu Chenhuan's face, it didn't hurt or itch. It was more like a slap. Hu Chenhuan, on the other hand, was stunned by this small amount of strength. He looked at the audacious brat in surprise. Ha 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 ha. Su Yiyan couldn't help but laugh when he saw this scene. He hugged his little son and rubbed against him. In a low voice, he lectured, "Baby, you can't hit Daddy. If you continue like this, Daddy will get angry. Mommy will also get angry. As Su Yiyan spoke, he deliberately lowered his face to scare the little guy. The little guy rolled his big eyes, as if he had sensed Su Yiyan's emotions. He quickly reached out his little chubby hand to support Su Yiyan's face and wiped the saliva off her face. Su Yiyan really didn't expect his son to be so skilled at kissing and acting like a spoiled child at such a young age. He was defeated on the spot. He hugged the baby and kissed him fiercely. When Hua Chenhuan saw this, he frowned with some jealousy. He leaned over and wanted to kiss Su Yiyan to show off his strength to this little guy who dared to compete with him for favor. Unexpectedly, just as he leaned over, the little chubby hand came as expected and slapped him in the face. It was a little strength, but it was incomparably firm and pushed him away. The two adults were stunned by the little guy's sudden slap. After a long time, they burst into laughter. Baby, do you not want Daddy to kiss Mommy? But Mommy belongs to Daddy. Daddy has the right to kiss Mommy. What should we do? Compared to Su Yiyan's good-natured teasing, Hua Chenhuan was much more direct. He directly reached out and poked the little fellow's head, and said in an especially cold and merciless manner, "Little bastard, if you want a wife when you grow up, go and find one yourself. You want to compete with me? You're still a dozen years too early." As soon as Hua Chenhuan's words came out, not only the little fellow, but even Su Yiyan, the person who was being fought over, was stunned. A few seconds later, the little guy seemed to have understood the provocation from his own father. His little mouth twitched, and he used his greatest trump card and burst into tears. His cries were so loud that his face turned red. His cries reached every corner of the building, causing Uncle Zhang and the others downstairs to run over to see what was going on. After learning the ins and outs of the matter, everyone unanimously cast condemning gazes at Hua Chenhuan. Hua Chenhuan, who inexplicably felt that he was being isolated. This little bastard was indeed born to be his nemesis. Once the little fellow started crying, no one could coax him. In the end, he was tired from crying and fell asleep in Su Yiyan's arms, feeling wronged, and was carried away by the nanny. Before leaving, the nanny even looked at Hua Chenhuan with a particularly rebellious and condemning gaze. Hua Chenhuan, who felt that he had taken the blame, as soon as the little fellow left, Su Yiyan finally focused his attention back on Hua Chenhuan. He said in annoyance and amusement, "You're really too much. Why are you being so serious with a child? You've made him cry." Hua Chenhuan was already full of pent-up anger. When he heard Su Yiyan's words, he snorted in disdain. However, he didn't let go of Su Yiyan's hands, and instead tightened his grip. Chapter 1009. Kid, you know how to compete with me at such a young age. I don't know how lawless you will be when you grow up. After Hua Chenhuan finished speaking, she rested her chin on Su Yiyan's shoulder and imitated the little guy's pitiful behavior. You still blame me? Forget about the others. Didn't you see that the little bastard didn't let me kiss you just now? Don't call him a little bastard. Su Yiyan reached out and pinched Hua Chenhuan's cheek. If he's a little bastard, then what are you? A big bastard? Hua Chenhuan choked and snorted angrily. Su Yiyan was also a little helpless. This guy was obviously fine before, and he liked the little guy very much at first. Why did he become more and more wrong recently? He even became jealous of the little guy. If this were to be spread out, a group of people would laugh their teeth off. Okay. When the little guy was here, he didn't let me kiss you. Now that he's not here, I'll kiss you a few more times to make up for it. Su Yiyan immediately turned his head and kissed Hua Chenhuan a few more times. Hua Chenhuan's expression became better. Although he was still a little depressed that his wife chose his son first between his son and himself, which made him a little uncomfortable, at least he didn't hate her as much as before. Su Yiyan, who had just coaxed the little baby, now had to coax the big baby. He felt a little tired. Taking advantage of Hua Chenhuan's stupor from his kiss, he quickly changed the topic. Speaking of which, Auntie Song and the others came to visit us for a while just now. Auntie Song? Hua Chenhuan frowned. What did they come for? Su Yiyan briefly explained the matter. Hua Chenhuan immediately grasped the key point. You want to help her? To be precise, I want to help those young people who have been treated unfairly because of their scars. When Su Yiyan said this, his eyes were fixed on Hua Chenhuan. If I remember correctly, you also have a few scars on your body. The car accident that year had destroyed Hua Chenhuan's legs. One could imagine how serious it was. Other than the internal injuries on his legs, Hua Chenhuan's body was still covered with many external injuries from the car accident back then. Hua Chenhuan was stunned. She grabbed Su Yiyan's hand that was touching her body. She took a deep breath and said hoarsely, "It's just some small scars. It's not a big deal." Su Yiyan's hand was grabbed by Wei Xiaobao, so he did not make any more trouble. However, he did not agree with what Wei Xiaobao said. That's because your scars are all on your body. Moreover, they are relatively scattered, there is no large area connected together. If you cover them with your clothes, you won't see them. If it's on the face, arm or calf, there will be 1 or 2 large injuries. Other things aside, girls definitely won't dare to casually wear short sleeves or miniskirts. Men tend to be more mindful of their words. I reckon they wouldn't dare to casually wear short shirts and shorts, let alone swim. When Hua Chenhuan heard what he said, the main point was a little off. If these scars were on my face back then, would you still like me? Su Yiyan pondered for a moment. That's hard to say. 1 or 2 small scars are fine. If it's a big scar, maybe. Hua Chenhuan's eyes were slightly cold. Maybe what? Maybe I won't be able to fall in love with you at first sight. Hua Chenhuan could not help laughing. So, you fell in love with me at first sight because of my face? Otherwise? Who doesn't fall in love with your face at first sight? As Su Yiyan said, he touched Hua Chenhuan's face in a particularly frivolous way. Doesn't this also indirectly show that your face is handsome and has the capital to fall in love with you at first sight? Chapter 10:10. Hua Chenhuan, who was suddenly teased by his wife, didn't know whether to be angry or amused. The next second, he heard Su Yiyan say faintly, "Speaking of this, I was quite curious before. You and Hua Xiaofeng are obviously family, but why do they look so ugly and you look so good? At that time, I didn't know that you were not related to them by blood, so I especially deceived myself and thought that you had a genetic mutation, or that your parents had left all the good genes to you and the bad genes to them." Su Yiyan mentioned this mainly to praise Hua Chenhuan's handsomeness. Unexpectedly, she poked Hua Chenhuan's sensitive spot, which made his face instantly gloomy. He leaned over and covered Su Yiyan's chattering mouth, swallowing all her words into his stomach. After the kiss, Hua Chenhuan buried his head in Su Yiyan's neck and angrily threatened her. "Don't mention Hua Xiaofeng in front of me." Su Yiyan was a little stunned by his kiss, and then she said, "Are you jealous? He's not as good as me. Even if I hurt my face, he's not as good as me." Yes, 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 no matter whether your face is hurt or not, in my heart, you're the best and one of a kind. Su Yiyan coaxed this huge vinegar jar without any pressure, and then she couldn't help but sigh. But those who really have scars on their faces may not have a handsome face like yours, and they may not be as lucky as you to meet someone who likes them so much that they don't care whether their face is good or not. You want to mass produce and promote? Hua Chenhuan frowned. I'm afraid that's not easy. With the improvement of the quality of life, many people's enjoyment of life increased a lot. There was a dazzling array of beauty and skin care products on the market, and many of them were old brands that had a large audience. Su Yiyan had good intentions, but she was afraid that they couldn't sell at all. Losing money was a small matter, but she was afraid that it would be a waste of so much effort and affect her mood. It was not worth it. I know it's not easy, but as long as it's gold, it will always shine. My shop will release some new products from time to time. Let's try them out first. If the reviews are good, I'll increase the production. If no one wants to buy them, then forget it. It'll save me a lot of trouble. What kind of money was the easiest to earn in this world? Naturally, it was these beauty and skincare products. If a woman really cherished her face, she would spend a lot of money on it every year. Although Su Yiyen was a lazy person most of the time, she could still be excited when she needed to be. After all, no one would be stupid enough to reject money, not to mention that the store was not her business alone. Hua Chenhuan had never interfered with Su Yiyen in this aspect. Hearing her say so, she did not object. If you want to do it, then do it. Just don't tire yourself too much. Su Yiyen felt sweetness in her heart. She laughed and scolded, "Why are you always worried that I'm tired?" It was fine when she was pregnant, but now that the baby has been born, she's still like this. In my heart, there's nothing more important than your health. As Hua Chenhuan spoke, he leaned over and picked her up. He was ready to do something tiring with his wife, hoping that she would not have the chance to think of that little brat tonight. As for a second child, one was enough. Another one was impossible. It was impossible in this lifetime. Su Yiyen was full of ambition. She felt that through this scar removal ointment, she could help her to successfully start a second life in her career. At the same time, she could give her little cousin some money for milk powder. Unexpectedly, just as she was about to start, something happened to the Qing family. Chapter 10-11. What? Someone reported that grandfather received bribes and kickbacks from the research institute, and even reported that uncle was in charge of several companies for tax evasion. How is this possible? When Su Yiyen heard about this, her face darkened. She wished she could immediately fly to her grandfather's side and beat up the villain who played dirty tricks behind the scenes. Don't worry. Hua Chenhuan held on to the angry Su Yiyen and comforted her. It's just a report. Those people went to your uncle's company to investigate for a long time, but they didn't find anything. It's already confirmed that it was a false accusation. My uncle's side didn't find anything, but what about my grandfather? Su Yiyen's face was ugly to the extreme. This sudden incident made Su Yiyen think of her previous life. It was around this time that a so-called anonymous report brought down the two most capable people in the Qing family. Even the Qing family was ruined and scattered. It sounded like a child's play, but that was the truth. Because there was a spy in the Qing family, he colluded with outsiders and firmly pinned this groundless crime on her grandfather and uncle. This spy was unsurprisingly Qing Fenglang, who entered Qing Juanhao's company at that time and served as the company's senior executive. Although the main branch of the Qing family and the side branches didn't live together, their relationship had always been good. Most of them were willing to help if they could. Take Qing Juanhao for example. His parents and elders may be strange, but his ability was not bad. Because he had a crush on Su Yiyen, he was later schemed by grandfather Cheng and sent abroad. Grandfather Cheng also felt a little guilty toward him. Therefore, not long after he returned to the country in her previous life, Qing Juanhao arranged for him to enter his own company and gave him a lot of benefits. He didn't want to bury the root of the disaster for the entire family and raise a terrible ingrate. In this life, Su Yiyen knew from the beginning that this person's heart wasn't good. After Qing Juanhao sent him to the company, she gave him a warning in advance. As a result, Qing Fenglang didn't enter Qing Juanhao's company as smoothly as in her previous life. Initially, he thought that by solving the root of the problem, the Qing family wouldn't repeat the same mistake. Who would have thought that it would still happen? Su Yiyen thought about how her grandfather had worked hard for the country and the people all his life. He was not particular about food, clothing, housing, and transportation, and had never bought anything valuable for her. Anything that was worth more than 4 or 5 digits was basically given to him by the younger generation out of filial piety. Even the old house at home was given to him by the higher-ups for his meritorious contributions. It had not been changed for decades. Such a person who had dedicated most of his life was framed and slandered by others in the end. In turn, he was cursed and scolded by those who had once enjoyed his kindness. He couldn't keep his integrity in his old age and finally died of depression. His uncle had never done anything wrong. In order to accumulate good karma and have a child that belonged to him and his wife, he had done all kinds of charity for decades. However, because of the betrayal of the people around him, he had inexplicably been charged with a crime. If it wasn't for Hua Chenhuan in her previous life who pulled him at a critical moment, he might have been jailed. When she thought of this, Su Yiyen couldn't control the anger in her heart. She wanted to tear Qing Fenglang's family apart. Grandfather is fine. They are all fine. Don't scare yourself. Do my mom and the others know about this? Got it. They were the ones who called me, Wang Yao said. Su Yiyen frowned. Why did they only call you and not me? Chapter 10-12. Maybe he's worried that you'll be overly nervous, so he asked me to pass on the message. At least I'm by your side, so I can hold you back and not let you be too impulsive. Su Yiyen pursed her lips. She was a little unconvinced, but she didn't continue on this topic. Then my mom and the others, they've already booked tickets and are going to visit Grandpa and the others tomorrow. I want to go too. Hua Chenhuan seemed to have expected Su Yiyen to have such a reaction. He smiled faintly and said, of course, we'll go together. We'll also bring the little guy to visit Grandpa. Okay. Although Hua Chenhuan repeatedly said that the Qing family situation wasn't serious, and Qing Juanhao and Old Master Qing weren't affected much. However, Su Yiyen still felt a little uneasy. The next morning, when the sky was just beginning to brighten, Su Yiyen got up and prepared a lot of things to bring to the Qing family. Hua Chenhuan was holding the sleepy little guy who was still a little grumpy after waking up. He looked at Su Yiyen with helplessness in his eyes. We're just going to stay there for a few days. You don't have to bring so many things, right? It's rare for us to go there, so I have to bring more things to stay for a few more days. Let me see, these are for Grandpa, these are for Uncle and Auntie, and these are for little cousin. Su Yiyen was counting the bags one by one. Hua Chenhuan heard a trace of something wrong from her words. You're going to stay there for a few more days? Isn't it a little long vacation? I haven't seen Grandpa and Auntie for so long, so I miss them. Moreover, Mom and the others are going too. It's rare for the family to gather together, so we'll stay for a few more days. It's lively, and the baby can also play with kanji for a few more days to interact with each other. Hua Chenhuan breathed a sigh of relief when he heard what she said. It turned out that they were going to stay together for a period of time. He thought that his wife and children would run away after he went out. It would be awkward if he came back alone. The whole family packed up their things and rushed to the airport excitedly to meet up with Qing Xiuqin and the others. Unsurprisingly, Qing Xiuqin also brought a lot of things. He was happy to be empty-handed, but his father and Su Yuxuan had to work hard as porters. At first, Su Yiyen was a little worried that the little guy would cry because he couldn't adapt to the oppressive atmosphere on the plane. Unexpectedly, the little guy went to sleep as soon as he drank his milk. When he woke up, the plane had just landed, and the jet lag was just right. Qing Juanhao knew that they were coming, so he drove a bigger car to pick them up. Even so, it was noon before they finally arrived at the Qing family's old residence. As soon as Qin Shueru heard the sound, she carried the child out and shouted, "Dad, Yan Yan and the others are here." As soon as Su Yiyen got out of the car, she saw the two people. Her attention was immediately focused on Old Master Qing. She quickly stepped forward to hold his hand and said with concern, "Grandpa, how are you? Why do you look so pale? Did you not sleep well these 2 days?" The concern of his precious granddaughter made Old Master Qing smile. He reached out to pat her hand and said, "I'm fine. Everything is fine. Grandpa is old, and he doesn't sleep much. By the way, where is my great-grandson? Didn't you say that you were going to bring him to see me? I've been thinking about it all day. Here." Hua Chenhuan heard this and carried the child forward. The last time the little guy saw his great-grandfather was when he was 1 month old. After a few months, he didn't know if he still remembered. Fortunately, the little guy didn't seem to be afraid of strangers since he was born. Except when he showed some hostility to his father, as long as Su Yiyen was present, he was very easy to talk to. Chapter 10:13. Grandpa Ching reached out and pulled him into his arms. He did not cry or make a fuss. Instead, he looked him up and down with his big eyes as though he was trying to figure out who this white-haired old man was. The old man had always liked children, so his heart softened when Hua Xiaoheng looked at him. He teased Hua Chenhuan as he played with the baby. Hua Xiaoheng, you're still as skilled as ever. It seems like you've been helping Yan Yan take care of the baby a lot. You're like this even when you're here. I bet you don't take care of the baby at home. Grandpa, you've wronged me. It's not that I don't want to take care of the baby, but this guy won't let me. He even said that men and women shouldn't touch each other. The baby is a boy. If it were a girl, he wouldn't have stopped me. He made it sound nice, but if it were a girl, he wouldn't let me take care of her either. When the baby kissed me 2 days ago, he even warned the baby not to compete with him for attention. The baby was so angry that she cried. How old is he? He's even jealous of a child. I really can't do anything about him. The crowd, who had only wanted to watch the show, felt their stomachs stuffed with dog food. All right. We know you guys are close. You don't have to show off in front of us. All right. Let's talk inside. Don't just stand at the door. The moment Qing Junhao's words came out, everyone seemed to have woken up from a dream. The group of people walked into the courtyard. Qing Shuqin and Su Yayan helped a few of the old servants in the house to distribute the luggage and followed them into the house. As soon as they sat down, they started to ask about the business. Dad, what's going on? When I saw the news about your family, my heart almost stopped. How could you not tell us about such a big thing? The Qing family's incident had happened a few days ago, but the Qing family had been keeping it a secret. The rumors had gotten worse over the past 2 days, and the public opinion had gotten out of hand. That was how Su Yiyan and the others found out about it. They came so suddenly that we were caught off guard. Fortunately, nothing serious happened, so there's no need to worry. You didn't cause any trouble this time, but you won't be allowed to do so next time. As soon as Qing Junhao finished speaking, Su Yuxuan couldn't help but remind him. Yuxuan. Qing Shuqin looked at his eldest son with disapproval. Mom, you've been reading so much news these past 2 days. Haven't you noticed that these news articles are all about the same? Moreover, not long after Uncle's family got into trouble, many online reporters, media outlets, and marketing accounts seemed to have made an appointment and started to spread rumors. They made it sound like Grandpa and Uncle had already been convicted. Are the reports true? The few elders present were not as familiar with the marketing of public opinion as the young people. They looked at each other, not knowing what to say. Su Yiyan immediately understood what he meant. His eyes turned cold as he said coldly, Big brother, what you mean is that I'm afraid someone is manipulating this matter behind the scenes, deliberately guiding public opinion in a direction that is unfavorable to Uncle and Grandfather. It was very likely that this was just the beginning. If they didn't find out who this person was, there would be endless trouble in the future. Grandpa, Uncle, have you found out who maliciously reported you? When Su Yiyan asked, the two of them shook their heads with serious expressions. Not to mention that the other party was anonymous, even if they weren't, the information of such whistleblowers was usually well protected. Otherwise, no one would dare to casually report people like the old master, who had a higher status than himself. Chapter 10:14. This was a form of protection for the whistleblower, but it was also a form of connivance for those who wanted to fish in troubled waters and frame others. Actually, in addition to the company and Dad's research institute, something else has happened in the past 2 days. Junhao. Dad, it's already come to this. What's there to hide? There are no outsiders here. Qing Shuqin also felt that something was wrong when he heard this. He frowned and said, Dad, what else are you hiding from us? Actually, it's nothing much. It's just some old stories from the research institute. Qing Junhao was furious. That's nothing. That shameless person even took advantage of you and accused you of plagiarism. Plagiarism? Su Yiyen's expression changed slightly. What could Grandpa have plagiarized? Thinking about it again, Grandpa Cheng had just mentioned the Research Institute. Su Yiyen's expression immediately darkened. The research results of Grandpa and Grandma back then? Yes. At this point, Grandpa Cheng also knew that this matter could not be hidden anymore. He could only tell the truth. Actually, it was an assistant who followed me back then. He had some talent, but his heart was not right. Later on, something happened and I kicked him out of the Research Institute. So he held a grudge. When he saw that something had happened to you, he came out to falsely accuse you of plagiarizing his research results? Yes. Su Yiyen subconsciously turned to look at Hua Chenhuan. This was too much of a coincidence. Their family had just gotten into trouble, and someone had already jumped out to spread rumors that seemed to be true and false. They took the lead to lower the public's impression of the person involved and create an inherent bad impression of the person involved. Later on, even if it was clarified that these were all rumors and the report was not true, those people would ignore it and pretend to be deaf and dumb. They would think that the higher-ups were deliberately protecting privileged personnel and bullying ordinary people like them. Grandpa, what happened back then that made you unable to tolerate it and kick him out of the Research Institute? Su Yiyen did not think that his grandfather was someone who could not distinguish between public and private matters. This person must have done something particularly overboard and crossed the line for Grandpa Cheng to be so ruthless. An assistant who had been personally chased out by a senior, which other legitimate laboratory would dare to easily accept him? At the mention of this, Old Master Cheng's face darkened. He took advantage of his identity in the Research Institute to maliciously collect commissions for equipment. He almost leaked the things we were researching and analyzing at that time. Su Yiyen was taken aback. Wasn't this already considered leaking trade secrets? Moreover, because of the special nature of the Research Institute, if they really wanted to pursue the matter, his crime would be much more serious than leaking trade secrets. This was an academic secret. If he were to be strictly investigated, a few years in jail would be considered a light punishment. He might even be implicated in some unknown serious crimes. Wasn't this matter recorded? If it had been recorded, he wouldn't have been able to jump up and down and bite back. When the matter was exposed, he knelt in front of me and your grandmother to admit his mistake. He asked us to give him a chance to turn over a new leaf. Your grandmother was soft-hearted and felt that he had just gone astray for a moment. In the end, he couldn't bear to see a young man's life ruined because of this, so he only asked me to kick him out of the Research Institute and never hire him again. However, it turned out that some people were crooked from the very beginning. Even if you gave him 1,000 or 10,000 chances, he would not really repent. Temporarily admitting his mistake and pleading for leniency was just to find an opportunity to pick up the butcher's knife in the future. Needless soft-heartedness would only be exchanged for another counterattack by the ingrate. Chapter 10:15. Su Yiyen's expression turned even uglier when he heard this. Back then, he was caught taking kickbacks and colluding with outsiders to leak confidential information. Was there any evidence left behind? There was at that time, but it's been so long. I don't know if it's still there. After all, old Madam was still alive when this happened, and both of them were still in the Research Institute. It had been at least 20 to 30 years since then. Even if there was any evidence, it wouldn't be easy to find it. Leave this matter to me. Hua Chenhuan took the initiative to take on this task. However, I might need grandfather to talk to the people at the Research Institute and ask them to cooperate. After all, it wasn't appropriate to disclose too much of the research at the Research Institute to the outside world. Hua Chenhuan could ask someone to help restore some of the relevant information, but if the people at the Research Institute didn't agree to help during the process, it would be easy to be caught red-handed and make things worse. This isn't difficult. Old Master Cheng looked deeply at Hua Chenhuan and his wife. After all, he had been retired for many years. Most of the current senior management at the Research Institute were technically his juniors. However, an elder who was no longer in the Research Institute and had no real power might give you some face on the surface, but in reality, he might not really respect you. The reason he said this now was entirely because of the batch of Chinese herbs that Su Yiyan had previously provided for the research institute, as well as Su Yuxuan's current cooperation with the research institute. Both sides had a relationship of mutual benefit. In addition to his old face, it was relatively more confident to ask them to give him face. Su Yuxuan obviously knew this as well. He said spontaneously, "In a while, Yan Yan and I will call the director and ask him to cooperate." "How many days will it take to get results?" Hua Chenhuan briefly considered the difficulty of this matter and gave a specific time. "In 2 days." "Okay, I'll call him in a while." Hua Chenhuan nodded in agreement. He turned his head and saw Su Yiyan's worried expression. He asked in a low voice, "What's wrong? Are you still worried?" "Grandfather, what does that man do now? Did you find out?" "I've looked into it." Qing Juanhao took the opportunity to interject. "This man is just an ordinary executive of a small company. He only has one son in his family, and he's not very successful." "An executive from a small company?" Su Yiyan frowned. How could an executive from a small company cause such a big disturbance? "Why are you encouraging so many media outlets to set the pace?" "You mean, there must be someone else behind this?" Su Yiyan took a deep breath and said coldly, "Uncle, have you tried to investigate Qing Fenglang's family?" As soon as Su Yiyan said this, not only Qing Juanhao, but also several elders present were shocked. They looked at each other and said, "Why did you suddenly mention their family?" Qing Juanhao was the first to react. "Are you suspecting that this incident is related to them?" "Yes." Su Yiyan always felt that there was something fishy about this matter. In this life, although Qing Fenglang did not enter Qing Juanhao's company, this incident suddenly happened at this time. He even contacted the major media outlets in advance and said with certainty, as if he had already expected that Qing Juanhao would have problems internally. Only the people inside the company knew about the internal accounts of a company. It was impossible for it to be leaked easily. This matter was like, there was a mole in the company. Even if this matter was not done by Qing Fenglang, Su Yiyan felt that this matter could not be separated from him. Chapter 10:16. When Qing Juanhao heard what she said, he was not in a hurry to make a conclusion. Instead, he said thoughtfully, "You seem to have reminded me before that I shouldn't let him into the company unless it was absolutely necessary. Could it be that at that time, you thought that he—" Su Yiyan raised her head and looked at everyone present. She felt that this was a rare opportunity to let her family know the true colors of Qing Fenglang's family. "Actually, I heard Qing Fenglang's parents mention uncle, aunt, and my parents by chance." Old Master Cheng and the others had always doted on Su Yiyan, so they had never doubted her words. Hearing her say this, their first reaction was that these two people must have said something particularly excessive, which was why Su Yiyan was so disgusted and guarded against them. "What did they say about us?" Su Yiyan tried hard to think of an excuse. "They said that uncle and aunt didn't have any children for so many years. They gloated and ridiculed our family's bloodline. They said that we were guarding such a large family property, but in the end, it only benefited the kittens and puppies outside. They also said that this was retribution. Although there were many people who chose not to have children because of financial pressure, health, and other reasons, the word bloodline still stabbed the hearts of some people who liked children to a large extent. Especially Qing Juanhao and Qin Shueru, a loving couple who had been begging for children for many years. Their faces immediately darkened. Fortunately, the little guy in Qin Shueru's arms kicked his little feet at the right time, as if he was a little uncomfortable being hugged and wanted to get out of her arms. Qin Shueru woke up from a dream and put the little guy on the ground with a faint smile. Porridge was a few months older than Su Yiyan's baby. He could already crawl all over the ground by himself. For this reason, the floor in the house had to be cleaned several times a day and covered with soft carpets so that he could crawl everywhere without restraint. After Porridge circled around the adults, he suddenly seemed to have discovered something. He tilted his little head and suddenly rushed towards Su Yiyan and Qin Shueru. "Yeah." After Kanji crawled to Su Yian's feet, it raised its head and looked innocently at the little fellow in her arms. Then, it grabbed Su Yian's calf and stood up shakily. It looked like it could fall at any time. Chinshuaru was shocked. She subconsciously wanted to go forward and carry the child back, but she was stopped by her husband. The baby stood up. Qing Juanhao said to Chinshuaru silently. Chinshuaru was stunned for a moment. She looked at the little fellow who was being protected by Su Yian and had already used his own strength to support Su Yian's calf. For some reason, her eyes suddenly felt a little sour. Perhaps what parents wanted to do the most was to watch their children grow up bit by bit. From being able to flip over to being able to crawl, stand, walk, and run, they had participated in every stage. Just watching was enough to satisfy them. At that moment, little cutie Porridge grabbed Su Yian's pants tightly and stood up. With a thud, he fell onto Su Yian's thigh because he could not stand properly. After being stunned for a while, he seemed to realize what had happened and chuckled. Unlike little Xingxing, who only had small and tender teeth when he smiled, Porridge was almost a year old. A few millet-sized tender teeth had popped out from all over his body. When he stood up, these little teeth could be seen, and it made one's heart soften. Yeah. After Porridge finished laughing, he reached out his little hand to reach little Xingxing. As he reached, he kept calling out, as if he was greeting his little nephew. Chapter 10:17. Kanji, this is. Su Yian wanted to say that this was his little nephew, but she thought that the word nephew might be a little difficult for Kanji at this moment, so she changed her words. This is little Xingxing. We've seen him in the video before, right? Yeah. When Kanji heard Su Yian say that, he smiled even more happily. His little chubby hand kept patting Su Yian's leg to express his joy at finally seeing his little friend. Compared to Kanji's liveliness when he saw his little friend, little Xingxing was much calmer. He pulled out the pacifier in his mouth and also called out to Kanji. Woo woo, yeah, woo woo woo. Yeah. Woo 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 woo. Yeah. In an instant, there was only the sound of the two little ones arguing in the room. It was clearly just two children blindly calling out. In the eyes of the few people, for some reason, it felt as if they had a common language with children. They also knew what the other party was saying, but the adults could not understand. Pfft. Su Yian looked at the two cute little ones and could not help but laugh out loud. When the others heard her laugh, they suddenly woke up and laughed as well. With this laugh, the unhappiness caused by the topic just now instantly disappeared. Chinshuaru walked over with a face full of smiles. She picked up her son and said, "It seems like Kanji likes Xingxing very much." When Xingxing came, he learned to stand on his own without a teacher. Su Yian was surprised. Is this his first time standing? Yes, today is his first time. That's very fast. Xingxing just turned over a few days ago, and he hasn't grown teeth yet. I just saw that Kanji seems to have 4 or 5 teeth. The top 2 and the bottom 2 have both popped out. Now, he's growing the rest. The two new mothers talked about their children for a while and their mood eased a lot. When old Master Qing saw that everyone's expressions had returned to normal, he coughed lightly and changed the topic. Other than that, what else did they say? Everyone's eyes fell on Su Yian. Su Yian let out a long sigh and said, "Other than my uncle and aunt, they also talked about my mom and dad." Qing Shuqin's face darkened. Thinking of what Su Yian had just said about ending his family line, he knew that nothing good would come out of this family's filthy mouth. What did he say about us? They say that you're just lucky. You were reincarnated into Grandma's womb, and you were born a rich young lady. It was a pity that she didn't have good taste. She had taken a fancy to a penniless and nameless grassroots like her father. It's only because Grandpa is rich and Uncle is capable. Otherwise, how could you live such a good life if you only relied on Dad? He even said. What else did you say? Qing Shuqin's face had completely darkened. These words were not only about her, but also about her husband. This was what Qing Shuqin could not tolerate. He also said that it's only because Dad has no money and no power that he doesn't dare to offend Grandpa and Uncle. Otherwise, if he really became rich, he would definitely kick you aside and find those young and beautiful women. When Father Su heard this, his face finally changed. He was angry and flustered, and he said helplessly, "Don't listen to her nonsense. I only love you. Whether you have money or not, I only love you. I don't like those young and beautiful women." Qing Shuqin was originally very angry, but when he heard his father's words, he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "I'm not angry about that." Chapter 10:18. She was angry because that gossipy woman had seen through her man too clearly. A narrow-minded person would look at everything with a tinted glass. Especially when they were extremely jealous, they couldn't see the truth at all. They only believed what they wanted to believe, as if this was the only way to comfort their inferior and ugly hearts. That woman only saw that Father Su's business was getting more and more prosperous after he married Qing Shuqin, but she didn't see how much hardship and effort Father Su and Qing Shuqin had suffered in the early days of their business. She was even more selective and blind, turning a blind eye to the decades of love between Father Su and Qing Shuqin. With just a few words, she negated other people's business and feelings. It could be said that she was really jealous. Su Yiyan looked at her angry parents and lowered her eyes. What she said was not a lie. In her previous life, Qing Fenglang's matter was exposed, and he was severely beaten by Hua Chenhuan. He went from a department executive with an annual salary of millions to a crippled homeless man who no one would take a second look at on the side of the road. Qing Fenglang's mother couldn't accept that the son she had always been proud of had become like this. She went crazy and said a lot of truth, including this. Su Yiyan couldn't tell whether she was so angry that she didn't choose her words carefully or simply said all the things in her heart. Anyway, with her temperament, if she could say such words, even if it was deliberate revenge and deliberately exaggerated the curse, she must have had such thoughts in her heart before, so she could say it so smoothly. After ridiculing me and Shueru for not having children and that we would have no descendants in this life, she eccentrically cursed my sister and brother-in-law for not having a good relationship and that they would divorce sooner or later. This kind of person is actually a relative of the same surname. Those who don't know will think that we dug up their ancestral grave. Su Yuxuan rolled his eyes and reminded, "Uncle, strictly speaking, their ancestral grave seems to be the same as ours." Qing Juanhao choked and glared at his eldest nephew angrily. At this time, shouldn't they be united against a common enemy and united against an external enemy? How can you expose my shortcomings like this? Su Yuxuan. Was he wrong to speak the truth? Old Master Qing glared at his son and was also very angry. She still thinks that it's retribution for Junhao and Shueru not being able to have children? What kind of heinous things did our family do to deserve such retribution? At the very least, even if our family has any retribution, it's not up to them to make irresponsible remarks. Dad, you may think that way, but I may not think so. Qing Shuqin sneered. Didn't you hear what Yan Yan said just now? She's looking forward to the end of our family's bloodline, so that all our assets will go to the cats and dogs outside. Wasn't their family one of these cats and dogs? Dad, have you forgotten how this family shamelessly tried to take advantage of us back then? With Qing Shuqin's reminder, old Master Cheng's face darkened and he hit the walking stick in his hand twice. Obviously, he was disgusted by that distant memory. Qing Juanhao and the others also came to a realization. After all this time, this family was jealous and cursing their family. They were simply eyeing their family's assets and wanted to kill them and replace them at any time. Based on this logic, they did have sufficient motive. Hua Chenhuan had been listening to their discussion quietly. After a moment of consideration, she said coldly, "Actually, after the 1-month-old celebration, this woman sent me something through the company's internal email." Chapter 10:19. Everyone's eyes turned to Hua Chenhuan. What did she send you? Why didn't I know about it? Hua Chenhuan glanced at Su Yiyan. It's all nonsense. You'll only get angry if you read it. Su Yiyan looked suspicious. So, what exactly is it? She suspects that you cheated on me. Pfft. As soon as Hua Chenhuan said this, everyone looked as if they had seen a ghost and stared at him in shock. You mean, she thinks I cheated on you? Hua Chenhuan was amused by Su Yiyan's shocked and confused expression. He reached out to scratch her nose and smiled faintly. Not only does she suspect that you cheated on me, but she also suspects that our baby is the evidence that you cheated on me. What? Su Yiyan exclaimed. Is there something wrong with her brain? I think so too. Su Yuxuan also reacted at this time. So, she sent you those things because she thought she had caught Yan Yan cheating on her and reported it to your husband who was cheated on. She wanted you to find trouble with Yan Yan? Yes. Qing Xiuqin's expression didn't look good, but he was still a little confused. Why would she suddenly send this to Chenhuan? Did she hear any rumors outside? Su Yiyan was a little depressed when she heard this. When did she send it to you? Not long after Kanji's full moon ceremony. Kanji's full moon ceremony. Su Yiyan's eyes were slightly cold. During Kanji's full moon ceremony, Chenhuan and I met Qing Fenglang at the banquet. When Old Master Cheng and the others heard Su Yiyan's words, their expressions changed. You met him. Did he do anything? What could he do? He just ran over to say hello to us and left after a few words. Oh, right. Su Yiyan smiled as she spoke and turned to look at Hua Chenhuan. He looked a little bad when he left. Maybe he was a little full from watching our public display of affection. Pfft. Su Yuxuan had just picked up a cup and was about to drink some water to calm herself down when she heard this. However, Old Master Cheng seemed to think of something. He stared at Su Yiyan with a serious expression for a long time and asked tentatively, Yan Yan, do you already know that he likes me, right? When Su Yiyan said that, Su Yuxuan was the one who reacted the most. What? He likes you? Qing Fenglang likes you? Is he stupid? You are cousins, how can he like you? Is he a pervert? They're just cousins in name. They're not related by blood. Even if you are not related by blood, in the eyes of outsiders, you are still close relatives. Brother, aren't you being too sincere? I'm not going to be with him. What does his thoughts have to do with me? It doesn't affect me. Su Yuxuan choked, but he was still a little indignant. I just think that it's dangerous and disgusting for him to have such thoughts about you. Su Yuxuan was a few years older than Su Yiyan. He knew more about the evil things that Qing Fenglang's family had done in the past than Su Yiyan. Because of this, he really did not have a good impression of this family. Although the adults said that the children should not be implicated in what the adults did and the family did, the children should not be prejudiced against the children of the same age. However, Su Yuxuan was inevitably led astray. Now that he learned that Qing Fenglang had actually had ulterior motives towards his sister, his impression of him plummeted to the bottom. Chapter 10:20. Yan Yan met Fenglang at the banquet. Not long after that, Fenglang's mother sent something like this to Yan Yan. Qin Shueru pondered. Could it be that he was provoked by the two of you and deliberately went back to talk nonsense, making his mother really think that you, not necessarily? Su Yuxuan touched his chin and looked at Hua Chenhuan. Before Chenhuan, Su Yuxuan paused. He knew that his sister didn't like others to say that Hua Chenhuan was disabled, so he had to find another word. His legs weren't very good before, but they've recovered now. According to what Yan Yan said just now, this family, especially Qing Fenglang's mother, can't bear to see others living better than them. She might have gossiped about Chenhuan's legs. When she heard Qing Fenglang mention the two of them and heard that Chenhuan's legs were fine, wouldn't she think more? Qing Xiuqin only felt that it was ridiculous. Are they fools? Why didn't they think about it? If Chinhuan was really Yin Yan's man, how could she casually bring him out in public like our Kanji's 1-month-old banquet? Do they really think that everyone is as shameless as them? Who knows? The thoughts of idiots are always more unexpected than we think. Unexpected idiocy. Su Yiyan listened to his brother's analysis and felt that it was very possible. Wasn't Qing Fenglang's mother the kind of person who couldn't bear to see others living well and used the most despicable thoughts to think of others? It was clearly her family's insatiable greed that caused their lives to be worse day by day. In her eyes, it was others who owed her. Not only did she unilaterally make enemies with others, but she also thought that others must have a bad life. As long as they didn't have a good life, she would be happy. It was normal for such a person to think that she had cheated on her husband just because of a few words from Qing Fenglang. How do you know that she sent these things to you? Is that woman so stupid that she reported it with her real name? No. Hua Chinhuan's eyes flashed with a cold light, and she chuckled. She reported it anonymously. But since she sent me so many things, I have to know who's behind it. So, you got someone to investigate? Then after you're done. Since we found out who did it, this matter won't be over so easily. Su Yiyan's heart trembled, but he seemed to understand something. What did you do? Doesn't she like to gossip? I got someone to poison her and make her mute. Hua Chinhuan's words shocked everyone. Even Su Yiyan was a little surprised. She knew that Hua Chinhuan would not let the culprit off so easily, but she did not expect him to be so ruthless. Also, anything else? Not only did she gossip, but she also slandered you. It's too easy for her to just poison her to mute. Qing Shuqin and the others felt that what he said made sense. To put it nicely, some people were jealous and couldn't bear to see others doing well, so they deliberately gossiped behind others' backs and tried to sow discord in the relationship between husband and wife. However, if it was serious, it would be deliberately spreading rumors to tarnish Su Yiyan's reputation and break up their relationship as husband and wife. Fortunately, it was Hua Chinhuan who was with Su Yiyan that day. If it were someone else, they might have talked about something that didn't exist. Thinking of this, they immediately felt that Hua Chinhuan did not go too far. They even felt that he should have gone even further. Su Yiyan felt that he must have done something more serious than making her mute by mentioning this at the end. What did you do? Chapter 10:21. Actually, it's nothing much. I'm just giving her a taste of her own medicine, Hua Chinhuan said with a smile. Doesn't she like to slander others and sow discord between husband and wife? It can be seen that although she is married and has given birth to such a big son, she still has a heart full of longing for an outsider. So, I'll fulfill her wish. Hua Chinhuan did not really want to do anything to that woman. He only planned to let people get close to her and take a few specious photos to send to her husband. Qing Fenglang's father was indeed cowardly and incompetent, but as long as he was a man with a temper, he would not be able to accept the fact that he had a green grassland above his head. As a result, a few months ago, this family had been in a state of chaos and was on the verge of breaking apart. He did not expect that they still had the strength to play tricks behind the scenes. Thinking of this, Hua Chinhuan's eyes flashed coldly. If this matter had nothing to do with them, then so be it. But if it really had something to do with them, he did not mind breaking up their family. Su Yiyan saw Hua Chinhuan's expression and knew what he was thinking. In a daze, she saw Hua Chinhuan in her previous life, who had lost everything and tried his best to kill those culprits who had harmed her. Instinctively, she reached out to hold Hua Chinhuan's hand and said with a faint smile, although I'm very happy that you've done all this for me, but next time, I hope that you can tell me earlier. Hua Chinhuan saw that Su Yiyan was not angry at him for acting on his own accord and a warm smile appeared in his eyes. He replied in a low voice, okay. Seeing that the couple had come to a conclusion, the few people beside them did not say anything else. According to what Yan Yan said, this family could really do such a thing. But Jun Hao had already listened to Yan Yan's words and did not let Qing Fenglang enter the company. How did he? If a person wants to do evil, there are many ways. Although he did not enter uncle's company, as long as he can contact the employees in Uncle's company. Are you suspecting that there's a mole in the company? When Su Yuxuan heard this, he couldn't help but interject, I think it's very likely that there's a traitor in the company for something like this to happen at this juncture. It was just that there was no definite evidence whether this matter was related to Qing Fenglang or not, so it was hard to conclude. However, since their family is so envious of our family, and can't wait for us to die without descendants, then hand over our family property to them. Even if this matter had nothing to do with them, they might have done something else behind the scenes. It's not a big deal to check. That's true. Su Yuxuan's words received the support of everyone present. After confirming the direction of the investigation, the few of them did not continue this topic. Su Yiyan could tell that the old man was not in a good mood, so she handed the babies over to Qing Shuqin and asked her and Qin Shueru to take the two children to accompany the old man and make him happy. He went into the small kitchen and prepared to cook a big meal with his own hands, using the delicious food to comfort the frightened elders. Before he started, he did not forget to turn on the live stream. The audience in Su Yiyan's live stream was already used to Su Yiyan's surprise attacks from time to time. Even if Su Yiyan did not do a preview, every time she started a live stream, countless viewers who had set up priority notifications would rush over as quickly as possible and push it to the most conspicuous position on the homepage. This time was no exception. I just finished class and I found out that the streamer started a live stream. I'm so happy. This is the first time I've watched the streamer's live stream when the number of viewers has not exceeded 10,000. I'll take a screenshot as a memento. Ha 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 ha, this background, did the streamer go to play at her relative's house again? Chapter 1022. Su Yiyan smiled when she saw the message. Yeah, it just so happens that I'm on vacation these few days. I brought the baby back to see the elders. As soon as she said that, the screen was filled with messages begging the baby to appear on the screen. Su Yiyan smiled and had no intention of letting the child appear on screen. Fortunately, more viewers soon flooded in, and these messages were covered by new ones. The medicine packs that Su Yiyan had recommended in the broadcast room were selling very well recently. Of course, there were one or two people who followed the trend and ordered the medicine packs. However, Su Yiyan had already considered this point. Just like the Chinese herbs that were sold before, the packaging of these medicine packs clearly stated the main purpose and taboo groups. As long as people came to make trouble, they would ask for a medical report. If there was a problem with the right symptoms, they would pay. If they knew that they couldn't eat it, then they deserved it. They didn't care. As it turned out, Su Yiyan was very prescient. After that, there were indeed a few people who caused trouble after eating the medicine packs in the restaurant. In the end, they were in the wrong and had to pay for it. Not only did it not affect the reputation of the medicinal cuisine restaurant, but it also attracted more people's attention to the restaurant and the medicine packs. The sales did not decrease but increased. After the medicine packs became popular for a while, the people who wanted to buy them had already bought them. Today, the audience in the broadcast room was more curious about the new scar removal ointment in the medicinal cuisine restaurant. Streamer, can the new scar removal ointment in your restaurant really remove scars? Is it also made by the streamer with Chinese herbs? A few days ago, I accidentally fell and cut my chin. The doctor said that it will definitely leave a scar. Although it's not easy to see it on the chin, it's still ugly to have a scar on the face. Streamer, is your scar removal ointment useful for burning scars? I have a younger sister who accidentally burned her thigh and calf when she was boiling water when she was young. It's such a big scar that she doesn't dare to wear a skirt until now. Streamer, Su Yiyan looked at the screen full of questions and pondered for a moment. She deliberated for a while and made a conclusion. The scar removal ointment in the restaurant is indeed a private product of our restaurant. It can indeed remove scars. It's basically suitable for both big and small scars. It's just that small scars take effect faster and require more treatment. For large scars such as burns, it may take a longer time for the treatment to take effect compared to other scars. Apart from that, the new scars that were left behind recently took effect faster because the skin texture was relatively more active. If it was an old scar, it would take a longer time to recover. You might have scars of the same size, but if someone else uses 1 bottle, you have to use 2 bottles. If someone else uses 1 month, you have to use 2 months. That's the specific difference. The inquiring audience members were all very excited when they received the confirmation. It was no wonder that they had doubts about the scar removal ointment. Most of the ointment purchased in Su Yiyen's shop were related to food. Think even those medicine packets had to be brought back and stewed with other ingredients to be eaten. Out of nowhere, a scar removal ointment appeared. Many people suspected that their streamer had begun to sell other people's goods like other internet celebrities. In addition, some anti-fans and competitors who sold scar removal and beauty products deliberately stirred things up and questioned the efficacy of this ointment. This caused this ointment to be on the shelves for 2 days with mediocre sales. It was not as popular as the previous ointment packs. Chapter 1023. Xiao Kai was a small streamer in the makeup section of Onlooker. Her ID was Kaikaizi. She would do makeup online and try out colors when she had nothing to do. Because of her delicate facial features and straightforward personality, she had attracted a lot of fans in the past 2 or 3 years and became a famous streamer in the makeup section. The top girl in the gourmet section next door appeared out of nowhere and dominated almost all the recommendation banners on the website. Many streamers in other sections were hostile to her and envious of her. Xiao Kai didn't feel anything. First of all, the two of them were in different sections and didn't have too much direct conflict. Second, she actually liked to eat. However, they were both streamers and Su Yiyen was many times more popular than her. It was easy to be said that chasing stars with a main account would be easy for people to say that she was sticking to Su Yiyen. She only dared to open a side account and secretly stay in Su Yiyen's live broadcast room to be a humble audience who sent flowers every day. This stalemate finally had a subtle turn for the better after the scar removal ointment appeared in Su Yiyen's store. After the scar removal ointment was put up for sale in the Medicinal Cuisine restaurant and the official website, Xiao Kai immediately bought a few bottles and released a notice that she would do an open box trial after she got the ointment. As a result, the order was placed at noon and Xiao Kai received the finished product that night. She started the live broadcast as promised. Today, I'm bringing you the scar removal ointment that was recently put up for sale in the Carnival restaurant. I just bought it on the official website this morning and it will arrive in the afternoon. First, I'll open the box for everyone to check the goods. After that, I'll do a trial run. As soon as Xiao Kai finished speaking, a few unfriendly comments appeared on the bullet screen. Carnival restaurant? A new beauty brand? I've never heard of it. Is the streamer casually looking for some unbranded products to promote in order to make money? Aren't you afraid that you'll ruin your reputation? I went to search around and only know that there's a restaurant called Carnival Restaurant that sells scar removal beauty products. This is the funniest joke I've heard this year. I thought that the streamer was different from the other streamers in the makeup section. She wouldn't make money as soon as she became popular. Now, it seems that I was naive. Forget about the previous ones. After all, they were well-known brands with a good reputation. Now, it's worse. She even pulled this unbranded brand that we don't know if it has quality assurance into the live broadcast room. She misled the fans to increase the sales of these unbranded products. Are you worthy of us, the fans who trusted you wholeheartedly? You really don't care about your face for the sake of money. I'm unsubscribing. Xiao Kai's face darkened when he saw these comments, but he didn't back down because of this. These so-called audience members who were clamoring to quit being fans were most likely opponents or haters pretending to be fans. When she first started live streaming, she had a glass heart. She wondered if she had really done something wrong to let down the people who liked her. Later on, after experiencing more, she realized that some people in this world hated you for no specific reason. They only hated you because they hated you. No matter how well you do or how hard you work, they can find thousands of reasons to deny your hard work and excellence. The best way to deal with such people was to ignore them and not even look at them. Xiao Kai calmed himself down and smiled faintly. This is the first time I've done such a time-sensitive evaluation, so please forgive me if I don't do well. Alright, let's not waste time. Let's open the chests. Xiao Kai said as she opened the box. There were 3 bottles of scar removal ointment in the box, each containing about 100 grams. Chapter 10:24. There was a simple but elegant little box on the outside. After opening it, there was an exquisite glass bottle with a simple appearance. Only the words, Carnival Restaurant, could be vaguely seen. The ointment was a refreshing light green color. It was cold to the touch and quite comfortable. There were 2 scars on Xiao Kai's body. One was on her face. It was a pox mark that she couldn't help but scratch when she had acne as a child. There were 4 or 5 of them, distributed all over her face. They weren't particularly obvious. However, as a makeup streamer, she often had no makeup on during her live broadcasts. When the camera zoomed in, these marks were very obvious. In the beginning, it was still okay. Her face was a little blurry, and the audience was more tolerant. No one said anything about the pox marks on her face. They only paid attention to her makeup and the makeup products she used. When she became a little more popular, her popularity increased, and the number of viewers increased. All kinds of people began to flood into the live broadcast room. Gradually, people began to talk about the acne marks on her face. Some anti-fans even deliberately gave her a black nickname, Acne Girl Streamer. The other mark was on her arm. It was a long and deep cut from a relative's naughty child a few months ago. There was a lot of blood at the time, and Xiao Kai's parents were so scared that they almost fainted on the spot. Although she was sent to the hospital in time to save her life, an ugly scar was left on her arm. After that, the relative took a basket of fruits to the hospital. He was trying to excuse his son, saying that the child was naughty and that adults shouldn't be too calculative with him. However, Xiao Kai and Xiao Kai's parents were so angry that they fell out with that person on the spot. From then on, they never contacted each other again. It was said that not long ago, the naughty child was involved in another murder case. This time, it wasn't a small quarrel between relatives. The victim's family had some power and was determined to get to the bottom of it. Unfortunately, 2 days before the murder, the naughty child just happened to be an adult. The best outcome was that he would be imprisoned for 10 to 20 years. At the same time, his family would have to bear a huge amount of compensation. That family only had 1 child in 3 generations. How could they watch him be ruined like this? It was said that they had been running around to borrow money and ask for help. When Xiao Kai heard this, he was neither sad nor happy. While his anger had been vented, he also felt a little relieved. Fortunately, they had long since cut off all pretense of cordiality with this family. Whether they lived or died now, it had nothing to do with them. Back to the topic at hand. The scar on Xiao Kai's arm was less than a year old, and it was a light pink color. Compared to this scar, the acne marks on his face were brown and slightly sunken. It says on the outside box that old scars take effect more slowly than new scars, and big scars take effect more slowly than small scars. The scars on my face and hands are old and new, big and small. For the next half a month, I will be broadcasting on time every day. Babies, pay attention to the changes in my scars. As Xiao Kai spoke, she applied the scar removal ointment evenly on her arm. The ointment feels cool on the skin. After that, let's put on some makeup and see if the ointment has any allergic reactions to the skin. This was what most girls would do when trying on cosmetics, especially facial masks. First, they would use the ointment on their hands for a period of time. After making sure that there wouldn't be any allergic reactions, they would apply it to their face. During this process, the live broadcast room would occasionally have a few comments cursing her rotten face. Xiao Kai saw them but didn't care. Chapter 1025. After Su Yiyen advertised her store's scar removal ointment in the live stream room, she threw the matter to the back of her mind. About 3 or 4 days later, she suddenly received a call from the store telling her that all the scar removal ointment in the store had been sold out. Should she restock now or wait a little longer? Su Yiyen was a little surprised when she heard this. She had only put the ointment in the store to test the waters. In fact, there weren't many finished products produced. Another thing was that a few cosmetics companies might have realized that Su Yiyen had a tendency to develop into beauty products and felt a sense of crisis. They had hired several groups of ghostwriters to criticize her in advance. They had even begun to secretly slander some of the products that were selling well in her store. It wasn't that Su Yiyen didn't know about these things, but everyone's attention had been focused on what had happened to the Qing family recently. For the time being, she couldn't find the time to deal with these people. In the end, she hadn't even had the time to deal with these people yet, and the matter had already been resolved by itself. Su Yiyen was puzzled, so she simply logged into her account. The first thing she saw was a real-time hot topic tag that said, "God Scar Removal Ointment, you deserve it." When she clicked on it, she realized that a beauty blogger on their website had reviewed their scar removal ointment and had even given a staged recovery. The most important thing was that after the blogger had used the scar removal ointment, not only had the scar really faded, but even her skin had improved a lot. Su Yiyen? My ointment has such an effect, and I didn't even know about it. Xiao Kai, who was doing the review, obviously didn't expect such a pleasant surprise. She endured the cynicism and ridicule of the ghostwriters and anti-fans for 3 days, and the small acne marks on her face had obvious changes. They had faded a lot. The scratches on her arms were more serious than the small acne marks, but if she compared them with the photos from the first day, she would see that the originally hideous scars had faded a lot. The color was also gradually getting closer to the color of the surrounding skin. When Xiao Kai realized that the scars on her hands and face had really changed, she was very happy. She felt that she hadn't been a fan of the wrong person, and she worked even harder to review the ointment. However, her initial focus was still on removing the scars, and she didn't think about other aspects. On the 8th morning of the review, Xiao Kai's mother casually asked, "Have you been staying up late less recently? My complexion looks much better, and my skin feels better too." Xiao Kai was also taken aback by her mother's words, and she reflexively touched her own face. She didn't know if it was just a figment of her imagination, but she couldn't help but feel that the skin on her face had improved a little. One had to know that because she had to work during the day and stream at night, she had to put on and remove her makeup every day until the latter half of the night. Naturally, her skin became rougher and rougher. When she didn't put on makeup, it looked fine from afar, but up close, it was a little bad. This was also one of the reasons why her anti-fans liked to criticize her. How could a beauty blogger become a beauty blogger if her skin wasn't good enough? At first, Xiao Kai didn't pay much attention to it. She thought that the acne marks on her face had faded, and her skin looked much better than before. A few days later, about a week after her first live stream, many viewers in Xiao Kai's live stream finally began to realize this. Discussions about her skin's sudden improvement also began to increase. There were even a few die-hard fans who worked together to compile screenshots of Xiao Kai's skin condition during her live broadcast this week. Chapter 1026. Originally, she didn't think much of it as she watched it day by day. However, now that she was suddenly compared to a week ago, even Xiao Kai herself realized that something was wrong. Her skin really did seem to have improved a lot. Others might not know, but Xiao Kai knew very well. Although she also used some skincare products, she only used a few all year round. She knew very well how effective they were. The only variable in this week's time was that bottle of scar removal ointment. This discovery surprised Xiao Kai. Seeing that more and more people in the live broadcast room were asking about it, she didn't hide it. She told everyone about her guess in front of the many viewers in the live broadcast room. As expected, Su Yiyen's store's scar removal ointment, which didn't sell very well, was completely sold out. It wasn't like there weren't any paid posters in Shao Kai's live broadcast room. They mocked Shao Kai for falsely advertising a product that had no reputation and no safety guarantee. However, the changes she had experienced over the past week were real. The comparison photos compiled by her fans were also real. Facts spoke louder than words. Moreover, for some people, the temptation of becoming more beautiful was greater than anything else. Even if some makeup companies had the foresight to use explosion-proof products, it still didn't stop these people from giving Su Yiyan money. Su Yiyan glanced at the beautiful streamer in the video who was trying her best to promote her company's scar removal ointment and praised her company's ointment as if it was the best in the world. For a moment, she even suspected that this was a new trick that the other company had come up with to flatter their shop. In the end, what really dispelled Su Yiyan's doubts was the feedback sent by Lian Nam. Long before the Carnival restaurant put the ointment on sale, Su Yiyan had sent a copy to Lian Nam. However, Lian Nam's burns were quite serious. The scars on Shao Kai's body paled in comparison. Relatively speaking, the ointment took longer to take effect. When Su Yiyan received a call from the Li family, the first thing she heard was a woman crying. "Is this Miss Su?" Su Yiyan was taken aback by her attitude. After a few seconds of silence, she said, "I am. May I ask who you are?" "Hello, Miss Su. I'm Nan's mother, so it's Mrs. Li." Su Yiyan raised her eyebrows. "Mrs. Li suddenly called me. Did something happen to Miss Li? Is it because the ointment I sent over didn't work?" No. The ointment Miss Su sent is useful, very useful." As Mrs. Li spoke, she began to sob. She couldn't come up with a reason for a long time. Su Yiyan was also confused. Since it worked, what was there to cry about? Could it be that Miss Li's mother didn't want her daughter to recover soon and live a normal life? Before Su Yiyan could think further, the person on the other end of the phone had already changed. "Miss Su." Su Yiyan immediately recognized Lian Nam's voice. "Yes. My mother was a little emotional just now. I hope she didn't offend you. Miss Li is too polite. It's not an offense. However, Mrs. Su and Miss Su suddenly called me. What's the matter?" "Actually, it's not a big deal. I've used the ointment Miss Su sent over. The effect is better than expected. Thank you very much. Also, I've decided to follow Miss Su's previous suggestion and undergo plastic surgery. After the surgery, I'll need Miss Su's help. And Nan will be very grateful." Chapter 10:27. Su Yiyan immediately understood. No wonder Mrs. Su was so excited that she was about to cry. This girl had finally thought things through and was willing to undergo the surgery. "Miss Li, I'm glad you've thought things through. I'll do my best." Before this, when Su Yiyan said this, Lian Nam would only think that she was deliberately evading the responsibility. She was deliberately vague and left some leeway for those who couldn't cure her but couldn't bear to part with her family's compensation. However, after seeing the effects of the ointment and seeing the obvious fading of the scars, Lian Nam's heart, which had been dead for a long time, finally gave birth to a glimmer of hope. Maybe she really could have a chance to change her appearance and stand in front of everyone with a new attitude and continue her former dream. Su Yiyan and Lian Nam exchanged a few more words and decided on a time to meet again before hanging up the phone. Gold would always shine. Because of Shao Kai's promotion, the scar removal ointment in the medicinal cuisine restaurant was out of stock for a while before it was back on the shelves. At this time, the first batch of customers also posted their real feedback. In an instant, the restaurant's name once again swept through various public circles of friends. The restaurant specialized in managing public accounts. Usually, other than the time to draw numbers, the waitresses were basically free. Inevitably, they were bombarded by countless customers who wanted to buy the scar removal ointment. Even some of the more famous actors in the industry came over and secretly used their status to help the waitresses prepare the next batch of ointment that had not yet been put on the shelves. One had to know that actors, especially those who filmed period dramas, had to be strong and oppressive. Even the martial arts actors who personally filmed the action scenes had scars on their bodies. It would be fine if the scars were in places that couldn't be seen, but if the scars were on the face, then it would be a big problem. Now that there was a ready-made scar removal ointment, people, regardless of whether they had scars on their bodies or not, wanted to at least stock up on a few bottles. Those with scars could be removed, and those without scars could even be beautified. There were many people who had such thoughts. This also led to a period of time where the supply of this ointment could not meet the demand. Regardless of whether they were rushing to buy or making reservations, all of them acted as if they owned a mine and threw money at Su Yiyan's shop. Qing Juanhao still had shares in this store. Originally, because of the malicious report this time, although it was clarified that he had been slandered and that the company was innocent, because those unscrupulous media outlets had received money to beat the rhythm, there were still some people who were led by the nose. Before the truth was found out, they had already made some boycotts. It still caused some losses to the company that were hard to make up for, and Qing Juanhao was in a terrible fix. He was vexed about whether he should give up his old face and borrow some money from his relatives. Now that the money was in place, everything could be discussed. Qing Juanhao no longer had to worry about whether or not to borrow money, and how to borrow money. The company could also be revived. Qing Juanhao felt relieved. He looked at his niece more kindly, as if he was looking at a gold mine that was about to jump into his pocket. Su Yiyan. Don't stare at me like that, it's scary. Everything that had happened in the Qing family was frightening but not dangerous. At the same time, there were two other pieces of good news. One was that the evidence that Hu Chenhuan had asked Yu Zian and the others to retrieve from the research institute had been recovered. With this evidence, not only could they wash away the dirty water that had been poured on Master Cheng, but they could also send the person who had made the false accusation directly to jail. Besides this, the other piece of good news was that the matter that Su Yiyan had asked Qing Juanhao and the others to investigate had taken shape. Chapter 1028. Just as she had expected, Qing Juanhao had something to do with this incident. There was indeed a mole in Qing Juanhao's company. However, Qing Fenglang did not manage to enter the company and become a senior executive, so he could only contact a limited number of senior executives. The mole he found was just a team leader of a department in the company. He could not get in touch with the core of the company, and it was impossible for him to fabricate a series of false evidence to implicate Qing Juanhao's company like in her previous life. What really surprised Su Yiyan and the others was that Qing Juanhao was not the only person behind this. There was another person, an old acquaintance. Song Yinyuan? How could it be her? When everyone heard Su Yiyan's words, they suddenly looked up. Yan Yan, do you know her? Su Yiyan subconsciously turned to look at Hu Chenhuan. Hu Chenhuan was also surprised to hear this name. He was silent for a while before he said in a deep voice, "She is the daughter of the Song family." The Song family? Which Song family? Su Yiyan knew that he was embarrassed to say it, so he snorted and explained on his behalf, "What Song family? Just say that she used to be your suitor." What? When the elders present heard this, their eyes swept over Hu Chenhuan like searchlights. It was as if they wanted to poke him into a sieve on the spot. Hu Chenhuan felt a lot of pressure under the stares of the elders. He braced himself and said, "She used to be my suitor. I don't like her, and I've never been nice to her. Yan Yan can testify to this." Qing Shuqin raised his eyebrows and looked at his daughter. Really? Really? She pestered Chenhuan before the incident with his family and wanted to marry him. Later, Chenhuan's legs had problems, and something happened to his family Hua. She ran away faster than anyone else and moved the whole family abroad. Su Yuxuan narrowed her eyes and instantly caught the loophole in her sister's words. "Since you pestered him before the accident, and you didn't know him at that time, how did you know this?" This. Su Yiyan turned her head and cast a helpless look at her man. Hu Chenhuan sighed and said truthfully, "This woman came back a year ago. When Yan Yan was pregnant, she posted some specious things to sow discord between us. As soon as Hua Chenhuan said this, everyone's expression changed again. It hadn't been long since Hua Chenhuan's legs had recovered, but this Miss Song had run away faster than a rabbit when he was in trouble. She had even moved her whole family overseas. It was obvious that she didn't plan to come back unless it was necessary. However, the truth was that she had come back a year ago after Hua Chenhuan's legs had recovered. She had even secretly schemed against the pregnant woman and stirred up trouble when she was emotionally unstable to sow discord between them. It could be said that Miss Song's intentions were clear to everyone. Why haven't I heard you mention this before? Su Yiyan touched her nose guiltily. It's not a big deal. I didn't take it to heart at that time. After Chenhuan found out, he immediately dealt with her, so I didn't mention it. Dealt with her? How did you deal with her? I asked someone to find out where she lived. I directly had someone tie her up, put her on a plane, and sent her abroad. As soon as Hua Chenhuan said this, the way they looked at him changed again. They were no longer as cold as before. Instead, there was a hint of complexity in their eyes. It seemed that they didn't expect Hua Chenhuan to do this. Tying her up on a plane and sending her back was simply too violent. However, when they thought about how this person had tried to destroy Su Yiyan's family, they couldn't help but say, well done. Chapter 1029. When Hua Chenhuan saw that their expressions had calmed down a little, she knew that she had escaped a disaster. She breathed a sigh of relief without a trace. When she turned her head, she met Su Yiyan's half-smiling eyes. She felt helpless and amused at the same time. When I sent her abroad, I asked someone to pass her a message. She didn't remember it at all and still dared to come back. When Su Yuxuan heard Hua Chenhuan's words, she snorted coldly. She's shameless enough to come back and beg for forgiveness. What else is there that she doesn't dare to do? However, there's something that I need to tell you guys so that you can be mentally prepared. Su Yiyan and Hua Chenhuan looked at each other and asked in confusion, what is it? According to our investigation, the reason why Miss Song was able to return to the country and get involved in this matter was because she borrowed the connections of one of her relatives. Relative? Hua Chenhuan's expression changed slightly. Could it be, when Su Yiyan heard this, she knew that he must know something. She looked at him questioningly. Hua Chenhuan didn't hide it. It should be Aunt Song. Aunt Song? Su Yiyan was shocked. Although Aunt Song's surname was also Song, she had never thought that she would have any relationship with Miss Song. She's a relative of Miss Song? Yes. But they are not related by blood. Hua Chenhuan paused and said thoughtfully, the Song family has always been powerful. Just like the reason why Song Yinyuan had taken a fancy to Hua Chenhuan, other than his looks, was mainly because he was the young master of the family Hua and the future heir. She wanted to use the marriage with the family Hua to soar into the sky. Aunt Song's father insisted on marrying an ordinary girl, so he broke off contact with the Song family. When Song Yinyuan pestered me, my parents and Aunt Song had not contacted each other for a long time. But I don't know where they found out that Auntie Song knew my parents, so they went to Auntie Song's house to harass her. They asked her to contact my mother and put in a good word for Song Yinyuan so that she could marry me. Su Yiyan was shocked. She didn't expect there to be such a story behind it. Then Aunt Song, how could Aunt Song not know what kind of people in the Song family? Not only she didn't say anything good about Song Yinyuan to my mother, but she also told my mother everything about her relationship with the Song family. Then, she moved out with Uncle Luo. Pfft. Su Yiyan could not help but laugh out loud when she heard that. Is the Song family a scourge? They actually forced Auntie Song to move. When Hua Chenhuan saw her smile, he could not help but smile a little more. Isn't he a scourge? When she doesn't need you, she doesn't even look at you. But when she needs you, she immediately pesters you. She's scarier than a vampire. Aunt Song can't be provoked, but can't she avoid her? What happened after that? What else can happen after that? My parents originally had a good impression of Song Yinyuan. They didn't like her that much. They just felt that it was strange for a girl to take the initiative to pursue me. At that time, I had already told my parents that I didn't like her. Their family made such a scene, so my parents gave up on any thoughts they had. Su Yiyen and the others sighed when they heard this. This was considered a double loss, right? Chapter 1030. Then how could she use Auntie Song's connections to do these things? Hua Chenhuan narrowed her eyes and sneered. I think it's possible that she's behind Auntie Song's back. Auntie Song might not know. But whether she knows or not, we still have to inform her about this. Su Yiyen didn't have any objections to this. She had a good impression of Luo Baogang and his wife, and knew that their family didn't have a good relationship with Song Yinyuan's family. She also felt that it was more likely that they didn't know about this. Su Yuxuan heard the gist of it from the side, and said with anger and amusement, after all this time, these two people behind the scenes, one is your rotten peach blossom, and the other is your husband's rotten peach blossom. These two rotten peach blossoms are still together? Are they trying to break you up and then divide the spoils? Hua Chenhuan and Su Yiyen. What do you mean by dividing the spoils? Not only the two parties involved, but everyone else was also shocked by his words. The room suddenly became quiet, and then someone couldn't help but laugh. The others finally reacted and laughed one by one. Su Yiyen and Su Yiyen looked at each other helplessly, but they couldn't refute. That night, Hua Chenhuan took the initiative to call Luo Baogang and his wife and told them about this matter. After hearing the whole story, the two were really surprised, especially Song Linghua, who was really angry. I knew that she wouldn't come back for anything good this time. Song Yunyuan's return to the country had been on her side. Although Song Linghua didn't like this family, she was still an elder. If she was too calculative with the younger generation, people would think that she was petty. Therefore, she didn't care too much about Song Yunyuan's return. As long as she didn't cause any trouble for her, she would turn a blind eye and pretend that she didn't have this strange relative. Who would have thought that even though she wanted to ignore this junior actually did all he could to harm her family behind her back. He even almost caused her and her husband to lose their chastity in their later years. Huan, little Su. This is indeed our negligence. I didn't expect. Su Yiyen could hear the guilt in Song Linghua's words. I know you and Director Luo's character. Otherwise, I wouldn't have called you as soon as I found out about this. I just wanted to let you know the whole story and avoid any unnecessary misunderstandings in the future. That's true. Song Linghua couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. A few days ago, he had just put down his pride and asked Su Yiyen to treat the Li family's granddaughter. How long had it been since then? His own relative had backstabbed Su Yiyen's mother's family. When Song Linghua and his wife thought of this, they felt ashamed. They said apologetically, although I didn't know about this, she did it under our name. We have let you and your grandfather's family down, Auntie Song, please don't say that. That's one thing. Since this matter has nothing to do with you, every injustice has its perpetrator and every debt has its debtor. How can I let you take the blame for others? I'm calling you today mainly because I want to understand the specific situation. Everyone knows what's going on. Secondly, I also wanted to ask why she did such a thing. You and Director Luo. Chapter 1031. When Song Linghua said this, it could be considered as a clear statement of her position. Su Yiyen let out a long sigh and smiled faintly. Since Auntie Song has said so, I'm relieved. She simply expressed her position on this matter. Song Linghua hesitated for a moment, but she couldn't help but ask, now that this matter has become like this, Su Yiyen knew what she wanted to ask, so she didn't hide it. This matter isn't a big deal, but it's not a small one either. Maliciously forging evidence to slander my uncle's company for tax evasion is not a big deal. Bribing dangerous people who stole confidential information to slander the elders is not a small crime. To put it bluntly, someone had to investigate this matter. If they didn't investigate, it would be a case of a false report. However, if they really investigated, there would be evidence. In serious terms, they could even treat Song Yinyuan and Song Linghua as spies who deliberately came back from abroad to cause social unrest. Su Yiyen had specially called to inform her in advance. Naturally, she couldn't just let the matter rest. Even if Song Yinyuan could survive, she probably wouldn't be able to leave that cage for the rest of her life. Song Linghua was silent for a long time before she exhaled faintly. Forget it. People have to pay the price for their greed. Since I've made my choice, it has nothing to do with others. The corners of Su Yian's lips curled up slightly, and she kindly reminded Song Linghua, Auntie Song is very righteous, but some people might not be. Song Yinyuan is in trouble in China. Her family. I'm afraid they will find trouble with you. You and Director Luo have to be mentally prepared. Some people are shameless and don't care whether you are relatives or not. They are even fiercer than enemies. When Song Linghua heard Su Yiyen's words, her face sank. She probably remembered this family's strange actions back then. So be it. Do you think I'm afraid of them? It just so happens that I still have some debts to settle with them. I'll take this opportunity to settle them properly. Otherwise, when they all die abroad in the future, these things will become a mess and have to be settled underground. It's good that you know what to do. Qing Juanhao and the others acted quickly. Song Yinyuan and Qing Fenglang were quickly subdued. When the two of them were arrested, they were still in a hotel, secretly plotting how to convict the Qing family so that Su Yiyen would have no one to rely on. When they rushed in, the smiles on their faces froze on their faces before they even had time to restrain themselves. Qing Fenglang's parents had been busy living apart and getting a divorce. After learning that their son had been arrested because of the Qing family's matter, they had come to his house a few times to make trouble. Fortunately, Qing Juanhao was prepared for this. No matter how Qing Fenglang's parents cried, made a fuss, and threatened to hang themselves, he did not allow them to enter the house and took them away. Not long after, he heard that Qing Fenglang's talkative mother had suddenly been diagnosed with liver cancer. Qing Fenglang's father couldn't afford to pay for her treatment. The two of them, who had already shed all pretense of cordiality, quarreled even more loudly every day. They could not even protect themselves, so they did not have the energy to care about their son who was destined to never come back. On the third day of Qing Fenglang's arrest, the police suddenly sent news that Qing Fenglang wanted to see Su Yiyen one last time. Coincidentally, at the same time, Song Yinyuan also sent a message saying that she wanted to see Hua Chenhuan one last time. When Su Yiyen heard about this, she immediately remembered what her elder brother had said that day. She chuckled and said, "Birds of a feather flock together." These two people's brain circuits are the same. No wonder they can be together. Chapter 1032. Hua Chenhuan's face sank. Do you want to go? If you don't want to, we won't go. It was just a last-ditch struggle. It didn't matter whether they met or not. No, I want to go. Su Yiyen turned her head and looked at her man's disapproving expression. She smiled and said, "Let's go and listen to what these two weirdos have to say. At the same time, we can make these two jealous people angry." Humph. Hua Chenhuan immediately guessed Su Yiyen's plan. A trace of helplessness and indulgence flashed through her eyes. Okay. The meeting time was arranged in the afternoon. Considering that these two people might be locked up in the same place in the future. In order to let them get used to it as soon as possible and to save time, Hua Chenhuan simply asked the people over there to arrange for the two people to meet in two rooms next to each other. Song Yinyuan and Qing Fenglang looked at each other across the prison cell. Their faces were a little dark. But they also knew that they had no way out now. If they really made a scene here, they might not even be able to see the person they wanted to see for the last time. When Su Yiyan and Qing Fenglang came in, Song Yunyuan and Qing Fenglang were arguing with each other. When they heard the sound, the room suddenly became quiet. Song Yunyuan was the first to react. She stood up and rushed to the front. She held the pillar on the side of the cell tightly. Through the gap, she stared at Hua Chenhuan with blazing eyes. "You're here." Hua Chenhuan frowned slightly. Disgust flashed through her eyes. Then she quickly withdrew her gaze and focused on Su Yiyan. The impatience and coldness between her eyebrows melted in an instant, leaving only a strong warmth and love. This obvious contrast in Song Yunyuan's eyes was tantamount to a sharp knife that ruthlessly pierced her heart. It pierced her self-righteousness and self-confidence. "You shameless bitch, thief!" Song Yunyuan's face became ferocious and distorted. His eyes were bloodshot as if he wanted to swallow Su Yiyan alive and tear him into pieces. "Thief?" Su Yiyan raised her eyebrows and found it funny. "What makes you think I'm a thief? What did I steal? Am I a man's heart?" Su Yiyan said as she touched her man's chest like a rogue. "Then I'm really sorry. My man's heart is in my hands from the beginning to the end. It only belongs to me. There's no need to waste any effort to steal it. Only those pitiful creatures who wanted something but couldn't get it would think about other people's things every day and end up with nothing. Serves him right. You." "Nonsense." Song Yunyuan was already irritated by the intimacy between the two. Now that she heard Su Yiyan's words, she was even more furious. "He likes me, he likes me." Su Yiyan chuckled, her eyes full of mockery. "Are you a roundworm in his stomach? Whether he likes you or not, how would you know? Or did he do something to make you misunderstand that he likes you? If that's really the case, now that we're here, I don't mind you bringing up some old and rotten accounts. Tell me, why does he like you?" Song Yunyuan's affectionate expression suddenly froze. Although she made a solemn vow, she really couldn't say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. After all, whether it was in the past or now, Hua Chenhuan seemed to be avoiding her like the plague, not to mention treating her well. She thought about the last time she returned to the country happily and finally found an opportunity to secretly sow discord between Su Yiyan and his wife. Chapter 1033. However, as soon as it started, Hua Chenhuan sent someone to pack them up and send them on the plane. Song Yunyuan was full of confidence when she came back, but she was humiliated when she was sent back. She didn't believe that Hua Chenhuan would treat her like this. It must be that this woman knew the truth and secretly drove her away behind his back. Yes, it must be like this. Song Yunyuan looked at Su Yiyan with increasingly cold and resentful eyes. "Chenhuan, don't be fooled by this woman. She is a shameless B*tch. Do you know that she sent people to catch me behind your back and forced me to leave? She even threatened me that if I dared to come back to you, she would kill me and my family. Don't be fooled by how gentle and considerate she pretends to be in front of you. In fact, she is a vicious B*tch. Are you done scolding?" "What?" Song Yunyuan looked at Hua Chenhuan, whose face was covered with frost and whose eyes were so cold that it seemed to pierce through her. She couldn't help but shiver and suddenly had an ominous premonition. "It seems that you haven't learned your lesson from what happened before. You didn't take the warning I asked Xian to give you to heart at all. You." Hua Chenhuan's words were tantamount to admitting that everything that happened before was his doing. Taking a step back, even if it wasn't an order from his mouth, it must have been approved by him. Song Yunyuan's eyes narrowed. She was hit hard. She couldn't accept that Hua Chenhuan really didn't have any feelings for her. Just like how Hua Chenhuan had rejected her countless times in the past, she was the one who pestered him and refused to let go. In the end, when Hua Chenhuan was in trouble, she ran away faster than anyone else. After knowing that his legs had recovered, Song Yunyuan spontaneously beautified everything that had happened in the past. Hua Chenhuan also had feelings for her. It was only because she had left and hurt his heart that he retreated and settled for the next best thing, which allowed another woman to take advantage of him. As long as she appeared again and awakened Hua Chenhuan's former love for her, the inferior substitute would be rejected by him sooner or later. At that time, Hua Chenhuan would definitely divorce and marry her. She would still be the legitimate Mrs. Hua. It's you, isn't it? It's you who deliberately spoke ill of me in front of Chenhuan and ruined his impression of me. You shameless B*TCH. You won't shed tears until you see the coffin. Su Yiyan really thought that this woman was sick in the head. You're a dog-skin plaster who worships the powerful and tramples on the weak. You run away when you encounter trouble, and once you find out that there's something to gain, you try every means to stick to me. What gave you the confidence to make you think that your image in Chenhuan's eyes is so pure and unattainable? Song Yunyuan's face was livid. She opened her mouth and wanted to refute. Su Yiyan didn't intend to give her a chance at all. The person in question is right here. Do you want to ask him if he ever had any feelings for you? No. As soon as Su Yiyan's voice fell, the person in question denied it without thinking. I only loved you, in the past, now, and in the future. I don't like anyone else except you. Hua Chenhuan's ruthless words suddenly made the not harmonious atmosphere suffocate. Su Yiyan was the first to react. Looking at Song Yunyuan's pale face, she felt an indescribable relief. Do you understand? Song Yunyuan was like a sick cat whose tail had been stepped on. She opened her mouth with a ferocious expression and was about to curse, but was interrupted by Hua Chenhuan. Chapter 1034. Keep scolding. If you scold my wife, I'll send one of your relatives to accompany you. You've just scolded me 4 times. Within a month, I'll send 4 of your relatives to reunite with you. Don't worry, I won't let you wait long. Hua Chenhuan's words were light as if they were just a joke. But as long as one looked at his expression and the way he stared at Song Yunyuan at the moment, no one would think that he was joking. Song Yunyuan met his gaze and felt a chill run down her spine. It made her limbs cold and she couldn't help but want to shiver. No, you can't. Hua Chenhuan glanced at her as if he was looking at an insignificant ant. No, I can. Song Yunyuan's body trembled. At this moment, she realized that maybe she shouldn't have come back in the first place. She shouldn't have thought that this man would be soft-hearted and change for her. She thought too highly of herself. Su Yiyan saw the change in Song Yunyuan's expression and didn't have any sympathy in her heart. She dared to seduce her husband so blatantly in front of her. Who knew what she was thinking about her husband behind his back? Thinking of this, Su Yiyan couldn't help but feel disgusted. Sometimes, it wasn't a good thing to have many suitors, especially suitors like this who were self-righteous and regarded the person they liked as their possession without the slightest respect. It was a big trouble that couldn't be gotten rid of. In this regard, Ching Fenglang was quite similar to her. Just as she was thinking about this, Ching Fenglang, who had been watching this farce coldly from the side, finally couldn't hold back and shouted with a sad expression, Yan, Mr. Cheng, we don't know each other well. The expression on Ching Fenglang's face suddenly froze. Song Yunyuan next door sneered as if she was mocking Ching Fenglang for thinking too much. She was having a hard time, and so was Ching Fenglang. They were all in the same boat, and no one needed to discuss the other. Ching Fenglang's IQ was still a little higher than Song Yunyuan's. The expression on his face only stiffened for a moment before he quickly adjusted. He frowned and said, Is there any misunderstanding between us? Uncle, weren't you the one who reported the company? How could I? Su Yiyan interrupted his explanation. Grandpa has been slandered for taking kickbacks and stealing the research results of his staff. Do you dare to say that you have nothing to do with it? Qing Juanhao looked into Su Yiyan's eyes. His heart trembled slightly, and a trace of guilt flashed across his eyes. However, he understood that he couldn't admit to this because once he did, he would be doomed eternally. I don't understand what you're talking about. I've heard about what happened between my uncle and the old man. In my heart, I also hope that these things aren't true. It's just that my parents have been in a lot of trouble recently, and I can't take care of myself. That's why I haven't taken the time to care about my uncle and the old man. You can't think that this matter has something to do with me just because of this, or even that I'm behind it. What good can I do if something happens to the old man and uncle? It's true that there's nothing good for you if something happens to your grandfather and uncle. However, there's a kind of person in this world who, even if it's not beneficial to himself, still likes to harm others. It's just for his vanity that has nowhere to go. Yen, you. Qing Fenglang frowned and wanted to explain, but he was interrupted by Su Yiyen again. Why do you think you're here? Do you think I'll tell you this without definite evidence? Do you think the police will arrest people without definite evidence? Chapter 1035. Qing Fenglang's face turned from green to white, from white to green, changing unpredictably. Su Yiyen was too lazy to continue talking to him. If Qing Fenglang was like Song Yinyuan, crying and making a fuss, she would be in the mood to play with him. But now, he knew that the things he had done had been exposed, but he was still stubborn and trying to get himself out of this matter. He really thought they were fools. If you tried so hard to see me just to say these words, then you're done. Now that you've said it, I'm too lazy to listen to the rest. That's it, let's go. As Su Yiyen spoke, she pulled Hua Chenhuan and was about to walk out. Seeing this, Qing Fenglang could no longer care about anything else. Wait. Is there anything else? Qing Fenglang looked at Su Yiyen's slightly mocking eyes, gritted his teeth, and asked tentatively, You know all about it? Know what? Su Yiyen turned around and looked directly into his eyes. She said with a faint smile, I know that you're the one behind the scenes. You bribed the employees of my uncle's company and maliciously reported my uncle's company and my grandfather, in order to destroy them and get to the top. Or do you know that more than 90% of the reason you did all this is because you like me, and you want to take revenge on my uncle and my grandfather, so that I have no one to rely on and can only rely on you? You already know. Qing Fenglang looked at Su Yiyen with a burning gaze that had never been seen before. It was as if she had opened the window paper and destroyed some kind of imprisonment that had originally restrained him. Yen, I like you. I've liked you for a long time. You don't know how much I like you and how long I've liked you. We're not related by blood at all, so why did they have to stop me? They even refused to let me see you a few more times. As soon as they knew my feelings for you, they sent me abroad regardless of anything, so that I could never see you again. They deserve to die. Anyone who stops me from being with you deserves to die. As long as they are dead, no one will be able to stop us. As long as they are dead, you can be with me. You will belong to me alone. At this moment, Qing Fenglang finally revealed his crazy side. He knew very well that once his deeds were exposed, Su Yiyen would not let him go. The Qing family would not let him go either. Since that was the case, there was no need for him to hide the shameful thoughts that he had been hiding all these years. Hua Chenhuan's face was as black as the bottom of a pot when he heard this man's naked confession and his almost crazy desire to monopolize his wife. Just as he was about to make a move, he was stopped by Su Yiyen. So what? What? So what if they stop you? Su Yiyen looked up at Qing Fenglang and said in an unprecedentedly cold tone, You were wrong from the beginning. You like me, but I don't like you. It has nothing to do with whether we are related by blood or not. Even if they don't send you abroad, I can't be with you. Qing Fenglang was shocked, and his always gentle and calm face became distorted and ferocious. Then who do you like? Him? Qing Fenglang pointed at Hua Chenhuan, gnashed his teeth and growled, How can I not compare with him? I can give you whatever he can give you. As long as you are willing, I don't mind that you married him and had a child with him. As long as you are willing, I am willing to give you anything. Chapter 1036. Ching Fenglang said and even stretched his hand out of the fence, as if he wanted to pull Su Yiyan. What do you love about him? Money? Don't tell me you like him. When you married him, he was just a cripple that no one wanted. Su Yiyan hated it the most when people talked about Hua Chenhuan's crippled legs. Ching Fenglang's words could be said to have accurately poked her Achilles' heel. With a bang, all the fire in her stomach was ignited. You really don't believe me. I just like him. Whether he is well or crippled, I like him. The fact is, in my heart, you are not even comparable to a cripple. No, in my heart, you can't even compare to a single hair of his. You don't deserve to be compared to him. Money? Do you think I care about your stinky money? Let me tell you, when I got married, the dowry my parents gave me, and the betrothal gift my husband gave me, can make you struggle less for hundreds of years. You can't compare to him, your ability is not good, and you don't earn as much money as others. Who gave you the courage to vow that you can compare to him? Is it this cellmate next to you? Pfft. With just a few words, Su Yiyan had managed to diss both of them at the same time. Hua Chenhuan couldn't help but laugh on the spot. The depression in his heart disappeared without a trace. Although he regretted that he couldn't show his masculinity in front of his wife's protective appearance really made him love her to the bone. Ching Fenglang was directly refuted by her words. After a while, he reacted. His lips trembled slightly and he said, "This is the real reason why you married him? I was wrong about you. My mother was right. You are the same as those vain women." Su Yiyan narrowed her eyes. She intuitively felt that she couldn't understand these brain-dead people whose brain circuits were in a dead knot. Hua Chenhuan didn't want to hear anything bad about Su Yiyan from other people's mouths. She sneered, "Yes, I spent all my savings to beg Yan Yan to be with me and marry me." You, Ching Fenglang's expression changed slightly. Song Yinyuan subconsciously tightened her grip on the pillar. Her eyes were filled with jealousy and hatred. She is worth it. I was willing to. I got what I loved all my life. I got what I wanted the most. If you can't get it, it only means that you're incompetent and unworthy. From the moment you laid your hands on Yinyan's family and tried to hurt them, you had already lost the right to like her. Hua Chenhuan looked at Ching Fenglang with a cold gaze as if he was looking at a dead man. You even said that you didn't mind that she had been married to me and had given birth to my child. From your words, I can tell that you despise her. You just treat Yan Yan as an object, a possession that you like and think is infallible. You don't know how to respect her at all. The so-called love that you can give her is just the material that you can give her. With such little ability, what right do you have to say that Yan Yan is vain? Let's go. Don't talk to them. Su Yiyan glanced at the two unconvinced people. She only felt that it was a mistake to come today. What a waste of time. I already regret coming. Su Yiyan said that she wanted to leave. Hua Chenhuan naturally had no reason to refuse. She immediately took Su Yiyan's hand and led her out, leaving the two losers staring at each other and mocking each other. This is your so-called white moonlight. Look at her. Does she care about you? You're asking for humiliation. Chapter 1037. Ching Fenglang's face darkened, and he sneered back. Is this your so-called childhood sweetheart? You're young and affectionate. I'm afraid she doesn't even remember your name, right? I feel ashamed for you. You. The two losers couldn't get any benefits from Su Yiyan and Ching Fenglang, so they had to turn to attack their allies around them. In the rest of their short and long lives, they had to fight with each other. Su Yiyan came out with Hua Chenhuan. She was still angry and looked like she wanted to hit someone. Hua Chenhuan was a little angry, but he calmed down when he saw her like this. He bent his lips and said with a faint smile, "Didn't you say you wanted to come? Why are you being so awkward now?" "I regret it." Su Yiyan snorted and said unhappily, "I wanted to come here and make these people angry. Who would have thought that they were so weird? They made themselves angry first. Hua Chenhuan knew what she was angry about. He comforted her softly, "It's okay. Anyway, we won't see them again." Su Yiyen was silent for a moment and asked tentatively, "How long will they be locked up like this?" Hua Chenhuan didn't answer her immediately. Instead, he asked, "How long do you want them to be locked up?" "Of course, I want them to be locked up as long as they can. Don't let them out to harm people again." "As you wish." Su Yiyen looked up at him in confusion, but she didn't ask more. Qing Fenglang's matter was quite big. The Qing family couldn't hide it, and they didn't want to help their family hide it. Although Qing Juanhao's company was founded by himself, he was helped by some relatives and friends who had a good relationship with him. Qing Juanhao was not a person who would kill a donkey after it had outlived its usefulness. After the company grew stronger, he paid back most of the people who had helped him. Those who had a certain ability worked in the company. Those who had limited talent in this area could not take on heavy responsibilities. According to the original investment, they could get dividends every year. Qing Fenglang's original intention was to destroy Qing Juanhao's company and the Qing family. But strictly speaking, didn't he also touch the cake of many relatives and friends? The people who originally had a good relationship with their family quickly turned against them after learning about this matter. They sharpened their knives to teach them a lesson, but found that Qing Fenglang had already been captured. Qing Fenglang's mother had liver cancer and had a falling out with Qing Fenglang's father. She had no money for treatment and was struggling to survive in the hospital. Of course, Qing Fenglang's father was not much better. Perhaps because of the chaos in his family, he was also in a bad mood. He went out to get drunk alone, and in the end, he went crazy outside and bumped into or almost molested a pregnant woman. She was so scared that she almost had a miscarriage. When the pregnant woman's husband found out, he naturally couldn't take it lying down. He directly beat Qing Fenglang's father and sent him to the hospital. The worst thing was that the man had been too heavy-handed. He had kicked Qing Fenglang's father's body so hard that he was basically crippled. When Qing Fenglang's father woke up and learned of this bad news, he almost couldn't catch his breath and went to see his old father who had passed away. His eldest son was crippled. Not to mention that there was an 80% to 90% chance that he would not be able to get out of prison in the future. Even if he did, there was basically no hope. His wife had become like this. He originally wanted to divorce her or simply kill her, marry another one, and try to have another child. Now, there was no hope at all. Chapter 1038. After Qing Fenglang's father woke up again, he stared blankly at the snow-white ceiling in the ward for a long time. He thought of the time when Qing Juanhao and his wife had no children. Every time his wife encountered something unpleasant, she would drag them out to vent her anger. She would sarcastically mock their family for doing too many bad things and that they deserved to die without descendants. Although he didn't agree, he was secretly happy. He felt that even if he couldn't compare with her, at least he had a son. But now, other people's lives were getting better and better, and he was the one who died without descendants. Perhaps, this was retribution. The Qing family's company and old Master Cheng's affairs were dealt with quickly. Because of Song Yunyuan and Qing Fenglang's arrangement, a large number of media outlets initially came to stir up trouble, causing old Master Cheng and Qing Juanhao's company to be attacked by some poor people who hated the rich for a few days. Later, when the Qing family presented evidence, many people who had been particularly aggressive before chose to shut down their microphones. A small number of people chose to apologize, and an even smaller number of people were unwilling to admit that they had done anything wrong. They were paranoid and believed that this was a conspiracy. However, because the hammer was too hard, this small number of people didn't make any waves. Su Yiyen and Hua Chenhuan stayed at the Qing family's house until everything was settled. As soon as they got home, they found that Ling Xiaoqi was already waiting for them at home. "Are you okay? Is everything okay at home? I only found out about your grandfather's family a few days ago. I don't know how you guys are doing, so I can only worry." "It's okay. It's all settled. Ling Xiaoqi breathed a sigh of relief and whispered, "That's good." Su Yiyan saw that she looked a little haggard. Since she already knew about her family's situation a few days ago, there was no reason for her not to contact her, unless, did something happen to you these past few days? Did you encounter any difficulties? Ling Xiaoqi froze for a moment, and her eyes began to wander. No, nothing. Su Yiyan saw her guilty look and became more and more sure of her guess. She frowned and said, "If it's nothing, why don't you dare to look at me? Raise your head and look into my eyes. Tell me, did anything happen to you these past few days?" Ling Xiaoqi's expression stiffened. She knew that she couldn't hide it from Su Yiyan, so she had to tell the truth. "I did run into some trouble, but it's over now." "What trouble?" Su Yiyan's mind flashed. "Is it related to that man?" Ling Xiaoqi's expression changed slightly, and Su Yiyan knew that he had guessed correctly. A cold light flashed in his eyes, and there was a hint of murderous intent. From the looks of it, she had been too gentle in dealing with them previously. This family actually dared to make trouble for Ling Xiaoqi. They really had evil intentions. "He came to find you again?" Ling Xiaoqi shook her head. "It's not him. It's another man." "Another man? Who is it?" "Yan Yan, do you still remember that I told you before that I found a job at Qian Group? You also said that the general manager of that company, his style wasn't good, and told me not to go." Su Yiyan was startled. After realizing the meaning of Ling Xiaoqi's words, his face turned completely black. "You mean, the general manager of Qian Group came to find you? What did he want from you? Did he do anything bad to you?" Ling Xiaoqi recalled what had happened these past few days, and her expression became a little angry. She said angrily, "He wanted to, but unfortunately, he didn't have the chance." Chapter 1039. It turned out that since half a month ago, Ling Xiaoqi had been bumping into a strange man at various times and places. At first, Ling Xiaoqi did not pay much attention to him. After all, he was just a stranger whom she did not have much interaction with. It was normal for her to have no impression of him. However, after that, the frequent, coincidental encounters, at various times and places made Ling Xiaoqi feel that something was wrong. Not to mention that a few days ago, the man was no longer satisfied with the coincidental encounters and could not help but take the initiative to strike up a conversation with her. Although Ling Xiaoqi was a little slow at the beginning, she was not stupid. How could she not tell that this man was up to no good after such incidents happened a few times? As a single person who had a boyfriend, Ling Xiaoqi immediately told Ning Siyuan about it when she felt that something was wrong. Ning Siyuan took it seriously the moment he heard it. Not to mention whether or not this man really liked Ling Xiaoqi and wanted to steal her away and make her his cuckold. A man who was always in front of a girl and even took the initiative to strike up a conversation with her must have an ulterior motive. Whether it was for money, sex, or anything else, Ling Xiaoqi would definitely not have an easy time with such a man. If something were to happen to her, who would compensate him with such a grown-up wife? Ning Siyuan made a prompt decision and assigned a few bodyguards to protect Ling Xiaoqi 24/7 so that she would not have any chance of being left alone. Apart from that, he also specially got someone to investigate who this bastard who dared to mess with the Almighty was. He didn't expect that he would find something that was intriguing. "He came to me because of that man," Su Yiyan frowned. "What do you mean?" "Their company's chairman and that man are friends. He happened to overhear the conversation between their chairman and that man and knew that I was that man." Ling Xiaoqi paused when she said this. Obviously, she was very reluctant to admit this. "He knew that I was that man's only bloodline in this world and heard that he was going to pass the company to me, so he had some ulterior motives. I want to hurry before that man takes me back." Ling Xiaoqi didn't finish her words, but Su Yiyan immediately guessed the general manager's Huahua plan. "He wants to seduce you before you are recognized, win your heart in advance, and marry into your family after you are recognized?" "Yeah." Su Yiyan was angry and disgusted. She sneered and said, "This man's appetite is really not small." Ling Xiaoqi also felt disgusted, but she was more disgusted and confused. What do you think he thinks? You should at least have some professional integrity before trying to seduce someone. You should do your homework first. I already have a boyfriend, yet you're still trying to get close to me.